All right, welcome everybody. Tad Hargrave from Marketing for Hippies here with Bradley Morris of Majik Media. And this is a conversation he and I have been having in the background, and I've certainly had with a lot of colleagues of mine, and a pattern I've been seeing, which is two things. One, people jumping to certain tactics and strategies before they're ready, before it's time, but also people getting the foundations in place and not even realizing there are more advanced things for them to look at. And so I thought I'd start it off with doing a little presentation around these seven fundamentals. So, if people are familiar with my work, this is the basic model. We have the seven fundamentals. And that most people, when they come to me, I think at a certain level, they're wanting to know how to share their work. What are the tactics and the strategies that I use to get it out there? But of course, any tactic you can name is going to be much stronger if it's connected to a hub, meaning like if you send an email to a list of people, you get some response, but if they get that same email from somebody they know and trust, way bigger open rate, way bigger response to the contents of it. If you post something on social media, you get some kind of response, but if a major hub in your scene posts the exact same thing, it gets a bigger response. So people tend to think about these tactics in isolation. They tend to think about just reaching people cold as strangers. I think this is one of the big blunders of the sharing level, is people really have marketing in their mind as a cold approach instead of the hubs. But then that's not the most important thing, because you got your business model. You got to have craft your offers together uh, and make offers that are so good that people just say, shut up and take my money. Like, that's exactly what I need. But of course, that's not the real thing, because even the business model and the structure is based on your point of view, your philosophy, your approach to things. The business model and your offers are the incarnation of that point of view. But you got to have a clear point of view first. You got to have a take on things that's fresh, unique, compelling, the kind of point of view that would have, people of bigger podcasts saying, that's really fresh and interesting. I want you on my podcast. Tell me more about that. Tell me something I don't know, because there's so much generic stuff. And with AI, there's going to be more and more of that derivative, everybody saying the same thing. But point of view isn't the whole thing, because that's based on the niche. That's based on, well, I don't know. Your point of view might be telling the truth about what you see from where you stand, but where are you standing? That's your niche. What's the place that you belong in the marketplace? What's the reputation you have? What do you want to be known for? Not trying to be everything to everybody. And of course, this is most of what I work with clients on. Almost all of my puttering sessions are niche. But that's not the most important, because we've got ethics as a foundation. And because you can have, I mean, it's just worth pointing out, you can have all five of these dialed. And if your ethics are significantly dodgy, you're just not going to make it, or you're making it so much harder. It's like driving with a foot on the gas and foot on the brakes, because the unethical behavior will keep burning your reputation. You'll keep getting shitty word of mouth over time. And all of that is based on having enough space to focus on your business. I mean, I think Bradley and I both know personally, and have seen this a lot with our clients, that you can kind of have all of this dialed, but be too busy to make it work. It's just not a priority. You don't have the financial space, the time space, the emotional space. I remember Seth Rogen, the actor, talking about how many people he knew in Hollywood. He's like realized persistence and just sticking around was the main thing. Lots of people with talent got reactive emotionally because they didn't have emotional space and left Hollywood. They quit before they were fired, and they probably would have been hired, not fired, but they got too reactive. So if we don't have the emotional space, we don't have the time space in our calendar, we don't have the financial space and other kinds of space, the rest of it is kind of a moot point, it doesn't work. So what I see is people really obsessing about, how do I share my work, but they don't have these foundations in place at all, even close. And that when people get those things in place, when they have enough space, when they figured out a way of marketing that's aligned with their conscience, that really feels good, and people are treated with dignity and respect, when instead of trying to be everything to everybody, they've got a very clear niche and a clear take on the point of view, where they can, instead of making the case hire us, they can make a case for an approach. They've got really well thought out offers that are not offered by them primarily, but are offered by hubs to their people. then you pick whatever tactic you pick and it's going to work better. So anyway, this is just a recap of something a lot of you already know. But people tend to jump to the sharing level too soon, in my experience, or they're looking for the tactics and strategies there when all of those are made so much stronger by this. I almost think about like this is the tip of the spear and this is the shaft of the spear. This is what gives it the weight and the heft so that the spear tip can actually puncture something. Whereas if you just throw the spear tip, it won't. So yeah, it's immensely important. So that's the one thing I wanted to kind of offer is that people jump to sharing too soon and they suffer because of it. They work much harder than they need to, put in a lot more hours, spend a lot more money, let's say on they do meta ads, but they don't have any of this in place and it doesn't work. And I just had this today, actually, a message from a member saying she'd launched this thing, and I'm almost certain, I haven't dug in, but I'm almost certain it's a all of this. She just doesn't have these foundations in place, launched a program, spent, a lot of money on meta ads and did nothing. Like lots of people seeing it, but nobody buying. A lot of people clicking on the ad, but nobody clicking on the purchase. And so she can keep spending money on that and focus on how to make the ads better, but that's a misdirected drive. She would be much better. She's in the membership now working on this stuff. So that's the first blunder that I think we want to talk to. And the other one is that sometimes people actually get all of this in place or good enough. My rule is 70%. If you got it 70% good, just move on. The rest, you'll improve as you go. But
Yeah.
people will have the rest 70% there, and then they kind of don't even know that there are other tactics available. They know what they know, so they think I'll do ads, I'll post manically on Facebook, I'll email my list. They maybe have a tactic that has worked for them in the past that got them started, but they don't realize the greater possibilities that there are. So I'll pass it over to Bradley to connect us to that.
Yeah, I love this. And I always appreciate what over the years, the people that you have sent my way who have the foundations in place are so much easier to take to that next level of what they're able to do with those foundations in place and how they're able to build up based on what their creative passions are. Do they like audio? Do they love video? Do they love mixing things and turning their perspective into a piece of art? Because once we have the foundations in place, there's so many fun and exciting things you can do. You can develop partnerships through a podcast, bring in other thought leaders through your podcast. You can build courses, coaching programs. As you know, I'll just actually share
Mm,
this little visual here as well because
mm,
I like the mountain. You got your pyramid, I got my mountain. It's like we got the traffic of like how we're getting people over to our platform. The base camp that I look at here is for me is like the signature workshop. That's the place where you're probably going to be driving the most number of people to who are just newly getting introduced to your work is your 60-minute signature workshop that lets people get up to speed on your backstory and how it relates to the workshop topic, your philosophy, what you know to be true based on your life experience and who you work with and what you do. And then you facilitate their first breakthrough experience. You help them have a shift in perspective and essentially take the first step up the metaphorical mountain with you. And then you call them to adventure. And you might have multiple pathways that you lead them up. I'll skip way ahead here. For example, for somebody, they might, no, that wasn't the one. You might have like three different business models that you have. One's slower and it costs less. It might be a membership. It might be an audio library that you sell. It might be a course library that essentially it gets them to the top of the mountain to whatever this ultimate transformation is. And then you might have a medium path that's like a flagship training or a retreat, an immersive retreat that you bring people to get that result. And then you might have the done for you services or the one-to-one coaching. But there's a lot of different things. And when I'll just scroll down, this is my Magic Mind membership. We've got the signature workshop training is one of my big trainings that I do every year. And then there's the sequel to that, which is around how do you launch a group coaching program. So Perhaps you've been doing one-to-one coaching for a long time and you want to figure out a more scalable model that makes it more affordable to reach more people. And that might be where you launch a group coaching program. But let's say you don't want to launch just any group coaching program and you want to really exercise your creativity and make something that feels like a work of art. And that's where courses like what we did with the Great E-Course Adventure helps people to essentially themify their courses, give it a theme, make it really come to life. And there's honestly no limits to what you could do if you wanted to design an entertainment-based online learning experience. I know you know, and some of the people listening to this, maybe you don't. I taught 500 plus meditation workshops in person back between 2009 and 2012. And so teaching in person more is an
Mm,
amazing way to scale your income. Going on a like tours. I used to go visit Tad every year. That was actually when we became good friends. Is I'd come to Edmonton every year. I would do a meditation workshop tour. I'd stay at your place. We would hang out. We'd talk business, and things just evolved from there. But doing tours is an amazing way to go see the world, partner with studios, partner with like wellness centers, spiritual centers, etc., depending on what your line of work is. And I'll just throw a few more out there. For anybody in the transformational arts, uh, there's an incredible opportunity for producing audio, like
mm,
creating a world-class audio library versus creating world-class video content is a very different game that you're playing. It takes so much labor to produce really high-quality video versus setting up like a small studio like what I have over here where we're recording world-class kids audio stories just right over here in this little corner.
right.
And you could set up a home recording studio for under $1,000 and you could be guiding transformational experiences. You could create a membership where people can subscribe to come to your 3 30-minute a week guided meditations. You can then leverage those audio experiences if you're recording them in a high enough quality, and you could license those to apps and companies like I have um, inside my own library, which is, essentially reached millions of people through 9 different apps and generated almost $500,000 of revenue over the last 7 8 years. And so as you're thinking about like how you want to go, does a membership work into your lifestyle and your business desire? Do you love constantly creating new experiences and workshops? Because if you do, then a membership is a great business model for you because you're constantly providing value. And like me, as you can see here with the screen share, if you're watching this and not listening, is like I've got all these courses. I launch a new training every month based on what my members vote for. I've got the library of content that as people come in, I can prescribe to them their experiences. Um, and this is this asset library that keeps becoming more and more valuable over time. But if somebody doesn't want to join the membership, they can just click a button and order one of the courses or trainings a la carte if that's their preference. And so what I like to do with people as they're starting to think about, like what is the best model for them that
Mm,
fits the way that they like to create is like how do you enjoy consuming? How do you enjoy creating? And how much time do you realistically have to devote to the business that you're building right now? And that is something to consider because I've seen too many people who
mm,
show up and they want to do everything. The business model is like, I want to do courses and a membership and an audio library and all the things. It's like, well, how many hours a week do you have to work? Oh, I got 8 to 10 hours a week.
right.
That's not enough time to do all those things. You and I, we've been full time at this
Yeah.
for decades, and we still don't have enough time to do all the things we wish we could. And so I would just encourage people, once you get those basics in, it's like choose one or two income streams that you really go deep on, whether it's teaching mini classes where you just like come up with your signature workshop and then you have like a half day or a full day workshop or a 4 week group coaching program, or you go all in on producing an audio library and you do one audio a week and after a year you've got 50 tracks that can all be licensed to a whole bunch of different platforms and generate income and build your audience for you. Um, but none of these things are going to be easy or really possible in the best way that you can do it unless you have the foundations that Tad talked about at the beginning. Is like those foundations help you to hone your point of view, help you to understand the business model that you want to step into, and really be able to communicate to your audience who you are, what you do, and why your work is or is not a fit for the people that you're putting it in front of.
Amen. Do you have that slide from your presentation about like the 16 different types of um, not social media ways to grow your business that are not social media? Do you have that slide somewhere?
If like the 19 relationships based marketing strategies,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
if you stall for a minute, I could go find that.
I can vamp. Yeah, so this is what we're trying to get at is inviting you to consider which blunder you might be making or where you're at in the journey. Are you lunging too fast forward to how to share my work, how to get it out there, where you don't have the foundations, or do you have the foundations good enough that you can go to some of these more advanced sharing moves? Where there may be other ways to share your work that you just don't know about yet, you haven't seen because you've been only A in your own industry, B with your own experience and colleagues who are probably maybe less successful than you if you got your fundamentals down. So there's a certain point in your business where you've got to pivot and you've got to open your mind to, and whether it's with Bradley, who of course I endorse, or other colleagues. There's a lot of people out there, and you're getting Facebook ads for them all the time. But whether they're like, you got to write a book because that's what you can get it out there. You should start your own app. You got to do texting people. You've got to do more discovery calls. You've got to go to networking events. You've got to market locally. You've got to trying to think what are the other things that Facebook keeps telling me that I need. I'm an idiot if I don't have.
You
You
need an
got
army of bots for sure, Tad.
For sure. Yeah, you got to
Yeah.
use the AI. You got to get on the AI train for AI. I got to do cold DMs on LinkedIn. You got to and it's not that any of these inherently are good or bad, but if you try to do any of those without the fundamentals, they don't work. And if you only do the fundamentals and you never graduate yourself to the more effective model of sharing your work, you can also stagnate if you pick the wrong kind of sharing, it's like you've got this incredible thing and nobody knows about it, or too few. You could be growing much faster than you want, but it's like I think what I'm teaching is like first and second gear in driving. And Bradley's talking about like third and fourth gear. And there's probably people beyond us who's like, okay, here's fifth and sixth gear. But there's a point if you're doing a long road trip, you got to get out of second gear.
Yeah.
You got to shift up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well put. I've got the PDF that I give away at the end of
Oh,
that
cool.
workshop here. So the most important thing that I think everybody forgets easily on that quest for more followers, more fans, more email subscriptions is to do the best job you possibly can by just nurturing the connections and relationships you already have, whether that is staying in touch via picking up the phone and calling people or texting or, right here really loving up your email list on a regular basis and letting them know that you're there and that you're still evolving on your journey and that sharing the lessons that you're learning because that does create resonance. It's really important.
Mm.
And you'll see both Tad and I around crafting and touring your signature workshop, a 60-minute free workshop that you offer that you get in front of other hubs who will host you. I've never found an easier way to grow an email list for free than to just keep offering the same workshop on different stages, virtually and in person. Another one, and this has been life-changing for me, was producing that audio library and licensing it to all these different apps and generating, everybody talks or hears about passive income pipe dreams in the online world, and this is a way that you can genuinely create passive income. Now the thing is these audio apps that are out there, and there's more apps than just audio, you know. If there's or if there's governing bodies that say have teacher trainings, meditation teacher trainings, yoga teacher trainings, some of these online schools are looking for creators that are producing the best content in
Mm,
their particular niche, and they might be open to licensing what you have. With Magic Kids as well, we have secured 6 different licensing partnerships with really big organizations that are getting us in front of, you know, the one alone has 20,000 schools and libraries that we're now entering into as a result of one licensing partnership.
oh my God.
You know, that's millions of people now having access to what we've created and us earning revenue royalties on every single play that happens through those networks. And we've got another dozen licensing conversations in the works right now for Magic Kids. And so if you create really high quality content, you can license it across many different platforms and generate revenue on all of them. Guest appearances, you know, appearing on people's podcasts is it's a great relationship builder. It doesn't necessarily build an email list quickly. If you're the one who has the podcast, though, I would say that's a more valuable thing because you can reach out to people with much larger audiences and invite them on your podcast, develop that relationship, and then once the relationship is established, you could reach out and be like, "Hey, you were on the podcast. That was fun. Are you interested in hosting my signature workshop?" Which is something we've been playing with this year, and it's been really effective for those cold outreaches and just building the rapport with those new relationships.
Mm.
Profit sharing. I mean, you and I, Tad, with the signature workshop, it's a collaboration. We share profits, and you try and find those relationships where, like a puzzle, your two pieces fit together beautifully and they can complement each other. You both bring your energy to the marketing, you both bring your energy to the facilitation, and you create something that you wouldn't necessarily be able to do without each other. And you share in the bounty that is generated as a result of that partnership. Even profit sharing, you know, we developed a fair pay publishing model for Magic Kids. This is something that never existed. We have well over 100 artists on our payroll who collect royalties for every play that happens inside the app. Half the revenue goes into the artist pool, and those artists get paid. That's voice actors, authors, illustrators, producers, meditation guides inside the app, and it's beautiful. Um, Doing affiliate launches, if you have a big program and you don't necessarily have a huge email list, but you may have some people in your network who'd be willing to promote a program that you're selling, and you can offer them, you know, 10, 20, 30, 40%. Um, it's way more effective for those people to send out an email to their list, which is a warm connection to promote something that you're doing, than you putting your money into the Mark Zuckerberg slot machine and hoping for the best, which rarely have I heard actually works out in a really great way. Sponsorships, YouTube shorts. You know, if you love to create content, if you enjoy video, which for me, I love making comedy. I love writing comedy. I love producing it. I enjoy editing it on CapCut. With our game that we've launched, Play Chi Ball. You know, I'm uploading daily YouTube videos for Chi Ball, and you know, we're really just starting to get some traction with our YouTube videos now. After 6 months of daily posting between my business partner and I, we rotate each day. And if you
Wait,
enjoy that, yeah, yeah,
can you scroll up? Because I
yeah.
mean, sponsorships, you kind of skipped.
Okay.
But so this is so important. I mean, maybe we won't go through all these, but you can see all these advanced tactics. So, you know, you're sitting there thinking, well, if I want to get more money, I've got to get more clients. And that's the only thing. But wait a second, what you're doing may actually be really perfectly set up to be sponsored by somebody much bigger than you or smaller, but you could get money for ads, which takes some of the edge off, makes your whole thing more profitable. Maybe they sponsor by giving you a venue, maybe they sponsor by, you know, promoting you, whatever it is. There are just so many of these things. Yeah, the workshop tour I see down there, local alliances, yeah, friends, families, referrals. There's a lot of these tactics that people forget. I think we can stop the screen share.
Yeah.
No, actually, can you bring back up that first slide you shared about your mountaintop?
Yeah.
Yeah. The so hopefully this is starting to land that it's good to know where you are. It's important to know what time it is in your business. For a lot of the businesses I meet, it's time to just handle the fundamentals. That's why they're struggling. They don't have those things in place. And then I meet businesses from time to time where they're ready for the sharing. I mean, it's just go, get out there, start sharing it. There
Yeah.
have been a number of people, sometimes they came to the membership with it and I wanted them to leave quickly because they were already good. And sometimes through the membership, they would get there. But the tip of my pyramid sharing, that's Bradley's whole pyramid here. Yeah, is
Yeah.
you get to a certain point, you got to share. So how are you going to share it? Well, you got to get traffic. But as we talked about, there's a lot of different ways to get traffic, you know.
Yeah. And we just had a conversation today in the Magic Mind, which was just around the idea of finding the pathway that you love the most so it's easiest to show up to. So if that is creating, if it's writing, if it's video, if it's having conversations, if it's, just teaching, which I mean, oftentimes teaching is the best form of marketing. Whatever it is, it's like choosing the one or two or three ways that you most enjoy to create and building the business model around those so that you can have longevity in what you're doing and so that you can enjoy the journey that is necessary as you grow through each of the stages.
Yeah, I think we can stop the screen share there. So I think that's it. That's the main thing we wanted to talk about and get across is um, know where you're at. And so I think you have a sense from the seven fundamentals how you would have an idea if you're there. If you're not sure, feel free to reach out to us at Marketing for Hippies, admin at Marketing for Hippies. We're actually coming up with some assessments to help people tell where they're at. And if you feel like, I think that's a lot of that is basically in place, I would personally urge you to find some more advanced support. George Cow does stuff on Substack. There's another one. He's got a course on, how to do Substack. I've got colleagues who do things on, all manner of there. I remember seeing a program on how to build your business using morning radio talk shows. And this was this person's favorite thing is I get to be in bed in my pajamas and I'm getting interviewed and I'm like getting all these clients in business. So there are more advanced tactics, and it's worth exploring and seeing what's out there. And as Bradley's saying, asking yourself, I mean, another way to say is what's the tactic I could do sustainably over time? What's the one I enjoy doing? Because I remember a woman in a workshop in Toronto, and she was so extroverted, she was dominating the room. I mean, a little, some other things going on, but she was just so out there and so wanted to talk with people and be around people all the time. And her marketing was all this online marketing of her at home. And I said, I just want you to close your laptop, make a list of all the events locally where your people might be, and just go. You will clean up. And she was so excited about the thought that she could market herself not online
Yeah.
versus other people who are paralytically shy, but they've been told, no, you got to do the networking. No, you got to do it in a way that is going to light you up. Do it in a way that you actually look forward to doing it instead of
Yeah.
avoiding it. And yeah, of course, if any of the things that Bradley talked about lights you up, you like the idea of licensing or the signature workshop piece, uh, all of that, of course, Bradley gets my full endorsement and recommendation on all of that. Yeah, Bradley's one of the main people I send people to. It's like, oh, you're done with the membership, you got it. Okay, here's the next step. Go check out Bradley's work. Um, yeah,
The thing that I like to bring is with Magic Media is like, how do you turn your life's work into a work of art? How do you make it something that you feel proud for the expression that you've created in the world, that it deeply resonates with the people that you're meant to be working with, and it does it in a way that feels really good and exciting and expansive for you to step into. And any of the people that you've sent my way that have those foundations in place, it's like we can scale up and level up really quickly because that base is solid. And then it's like, okay, now we get to play. Now it's time to like be really creative inside of the container that's been created already.
Yeah, if you got the fundamentals, you can scale. If you don't, you're gonna flail. It's that's you know, that's the
Did
that's the choice.
you make that up right now, or have you said that before?
This is my first time.
Way to
This is,
go. Yeah, maybe that's the name of this one.
uh, I like it. Well, let's wrap it there.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for tuning in. Hopefully we'd love to hear your comments below of just where do you see yourself in your business? Are you in the stage of fundamentals, or do you think like, okay, I think I'm ready to scale. I think I'm ready to go to the next level. You can check Bradley out at magicmedia.com, MAJIK media.com, and of course myself, marketingforhippies.com. And thanks so much.
Thanks, everybody.